Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of 60 Plus Uncensored, the show where we have real, unfiltered conversations with people over 60 who are still working, growing, living with purpose, and refusing to fade quietly into the background. I'm your host, Sebastian Fry to some of you. I started this podcast because I wanted to shine a spotlight on the people who are still out there doing the damn thing, building businesses, chasing dreams, raising hell, or just living life on their own terms. And today, my guest is Nanette Murphy, and she is a divorce coach, which is a new line of work to me. And she works with all kinds of people going through divorce, but she does work specifically with people who are going through a gray divorce, say people over 50 or 60. So, I don't actually know a lot about divorce. I don't know many people who have actually gone through divorce
Oh,
personally. And
lucky.
when they do, they oftentimes don't talk very much about it. So
Mm-mm.
I'm
Mm.
really interested to hear what Nanette has to share with us today. So, Nanette, thank you so much for joining us.
Seb, thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it, and I won't even make you ask the question. I am happily in the 60 and over club. So,
You're in the 16 over club. Well, you look
yes,
fabulous. What do
thank
you do
you.
for your skin? I mean, you look like you
Thank
could be
you.
35. So, do you have any
I
like
I
tips?
I do take care of my skin, absolutely. Regular facials, drink lots of water, try to sleep a lot, but that's not always easy. But and I think I have good genes. I come from good stock.
Do you wear a hat, like a wide brimmed hat, when you go outside to protect yourself from the sun?
Maybe in the last 5 years of my life, but no.
But
I was
before
a
that, you didn't, huh?
I was a sun bunny. Oh, absolutely. I grew up.
Oh,
I
really?
mean, I grew up in the 80s where you put, when you put coconut oil on your body and tried to bake yourself. Yeah.
Those were the good old
Yeah.
days. Remember the copper tone
Yeah.
tan?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So now I'm
Yeah, I'm
I'm
not sure what
finally
happened to copper tone tan.
yeah, I'm finally catching up to myself and going, all right, I really need to be conscious of it. So I wear sunscreen every day and, all of that.
Right. Yeah, people tell me that I look very youthful. I mean, I'm only
Yes.
54, but I've never really been a sun bunny. I mean, I've
Yeah.
spent time in the sun, obviously, but
Yeah.
I don't think I've used copper tone more than two or three times in my life.
You sound like my husband. Yeah, he never touches it, but I don't know. I just feel better with it on. And I grew up as a kid on the lake. I grew up outside on the water, outside all the time. So there was no shade for me.
Well, tell us about that. So, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Born and raised in Ontario, Canada. I have been in the U.S. though for. I moved to Michigan in the early 90s. So I've been here for over 30 years. I've had I have three children. One was born in Canada. The other two were born in Michigan. Lived in California for a little while, and yeah, I've been in the States for long enough to call it home.
Ontario, Canada, which is right across the lake from Michigan. Is that
Yeah,
correct? If I know
yeah,
my
yeah,
geography.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
where in
South
Ontario? Like
Detroit.
Windsor, Ontario,
We're
or
yeah, we're South Detroit. As
you're
the
South
song said.
Detroit?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, so Windsor. So basically, like it was just it
Right? There's
wasn't
like that,
it.
like the Ambassador Bridge or whatever they call it, right?
Exactly, exactly. So I live about 30 minutes from the border.
Oh, right on. Okay. And
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
ended up going to the United States because why?
yeah. My ex-husband, he was a computer programmer, aspired for more than just, working at a local. He worked actually at Hiram Walker's, and if you're a whiskey drinker, you'll know what that is, Canadian Club whiskey. So he worked there, and just he truly wanted more. So he had a job over in Michigan, and then was sponsored, brought over to Michigan to work, and then eventually he became a consultant. Someone asked him to be a consultant. It brought us to San Francisco, California, and we, as they say, loaded up the truck. And we moved to California. Two kids and two cats, and away we went.
Wow, what year was that?
Whew, let me see, 95, I think. 1995. Yeah, something like that.
1995, huh? Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Berkeley, right across the
Oh,
bay, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
have I was in the San Francisco Boys Chorus when I was a kid, so
Okay.
I was in San Francisco like 2 or 3 times a week for a
Yeah.
good 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
and we go there fairly often.
Loved it there.
Yeah. So how long did you live in San Francisco for?
Uh, Technically, lived in Sausalito, so that was like a
Oh,
2 year holiday. So about almost 2 years, just about a couple months shy of 2 years.
oh,
Yeah,
nice. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
And so now you're back in Michigan again.
Yes, and have been since then. So I guess that's like 31 years because actually more like 27, I guess, because my youngest daughter we had after we moved back from California. So yeah, 3 kids, started businesses. We had a restaurant, built big houses. We had the life, let me tell you.
Living the American dream, as it were.
Absolutely, absolutely. A little startup, and basically in the garage. It was more of an apartment in Sausalito, but yeah, he built a business in the .com era and actually survived. So that's the Cinderella story, I call it. We grew and sold, and yeah.
Yeah, I was working in tech back then. Before I became a realtor and podcast host, I
Okay.
used to be
Yeah.
in tech. I was a techie from
Yeah.
I want to say 1989 until 2003. So
Oh,
about a 14-year stint in the tech biz.
yeah.
So, but you sold all that in Sausalito. You moved to Michigan, and then did you have another startup company in Michigan, or how did you occupy your time for 30 odd years in Michigan?
I occupied my time raising 3 children, running a household, uh, managing a husband, trying to keep up with him, and yeah, I mean, I raised 3 kids, stay home mom, and did all of it. So that was my what do they call it? A household engineer. Um,
Right,
I
right.
wore
So
I wore
you
many
managed your
hats.
husband.
Yes,
He needed a,
exactly.
he needed a lot of managing, did he?
He did. He did.
He
until
did.
I couldn't do it anymore. But that's another story for another day. But unfortunately, after 21 years of marriage, everything actually, yeah, 21 years of marriage, life exploded, like truly.
Life exploded. So,
My
how many years ago was that? 21 years of marriage.
Let me see. Well, I always say 2010 is when everything shattered. So we're talking 15 years ago. It took us a few years to get to the divorce stage, and probably another 2 years after that to actually get divorced. So it was by 2015. I always say the good news is I don't keep track anymore. I think it's about 10 years that we've been divorced. I've since remarried. He has as well. It wasn't the most amicable divorce. It was a huge struggle, devastating, debilitating, depressing. You name it, that's what it was. And you're lucky that you don't know anyone or many people who have been through divorce, and especially a gray divorce, because I did not know it at the time, but I was going through a gray divorce. I was just approaching 50, and I had known my ex since I was 18, and now I'm like, WTF, dude? Like, what? Really? Now?
So that's 30 years that you guys were together. So, can I ask
Yep.
what happened? After 30 years, what happened to shatter your marriage?
Well, when someone, okay, so I often like to quote the beautiful Lady Di, bless her soul. She once said, it's too crowded to have 3 people in a marriage. And if you look
Oh.
it up somewhere, she did say that. And then interestingly enough, I wrote a book, and when I was writing my book, I don't know, I was watching the news somewhere, and the quote was given, like whatever I was watching on the news. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's right. It's pretty crowded when there's 3 people in a marriage. So uh, that's what broke up our marriage after
So,
20 years of marriage.
was it your idea to get the divorce, or did he want the divorce, or was it a mutual thing?
Well, for me, when you can't trust someone anymore, and they continually hand you a line and lead you astray and play head games with you. When I say it took us a long time to reach divorce, that's because I sat in denial for a couple years, which is very normal. But once you actually wake up and go, yeah, yeah, I can't do this anymore. that's when I had to file. Was it something I wanted? Absolutely not. I tried tooth and nail to save our marriage. But one of the other thing that I've learned is, if both of you aren't really trying, don't even put your hat in the game. If the other partner is sort of trying, maybe we'll dabble in it. No, you have to be in it 100%, both of you. Because then I often wondered how couples overcame infidelity, and that's what I've learned is you both one person can forgive, but the other one truly has to be sorry and not do it again. And they have to overcommit. Like that, you have to prove yourself. But that didn't happen. So then I was just like, what am I doing? I'm going to be 50 years old, and like, what am I doing? Trying to make someone love me. You can't. So I initiated it only it was the last resort. Like there was nothing left.
Right, right.
Yeah.
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 Wow, that must have been absolutely devastating.
Yeah. Yeah. What somebody once said they felt debilitated. I'm like, yeah, that's really a good term for it too. Because you don't, like, you feel like you're floating. They call it divorce brain. It's a fog, and it's a real thing. You have to live your life. I mean, I still had 3 children. I had a household to run. I still had to move on through life, all while trying to figure out what just the hell just what happened. After the last 20 years of marriage. So yeah, it's definitely difficult. So the thing that I wished I'd had known, but it wasn't common, was there was support for me. It just wasn't advertised. It wasn't in your face. What I always say now is, I Googled how to save my marriage. I didn't Google how to divorce. Because what do people do? Oh my God, I need a good attorney. Hire that good attorney. Make sure they fight for you. Like, just, that's how you did it. And in the last, I guess, almost 6 years now, I've learned that it doesn't have to be that way. That it doesn't, and my divorce was a high net worth divorce. So my attorney, she loved me. she loved when I had to call and vent, or like I was just out of my head, confused. Of course she loved me. She talked to me forever. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And that's what people don't tell you. And what I'm trying to work on now is educating people, bringing them knowledge that divorce is not just a legal battle. And it doesn't even have to be a battle, although it's hard not to sometimes. But it's an emotional journey. And it's often people say it's worse than losing the death of a spouse through death, because that person still walks the face of the earth. They're just not with you.
Well,
And
also in
often,
your case, 30 years together, like in a family and kids still in the house, and then
yeah.
you being, a household manager, that's like a loss of identity, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, 150%, for sure. I have learned so much about myself. And really, people say, how did you do it? And I say, well, I was determined, number one. And number two, I found courage. And from that courage, I was able to heal. And one of the things I also say is healing's an active process. Nothing magical about it. No fairy dust is going to sprinkle down on you and, magically make you a whole new person. You have to work at it. You have to work at it. But you shouldn't go at it alone, because that's when it's really hard. Really hard. I always said it was 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But that's why when in 2021, I discovered that divorce coaching existed, I was just like the skies opened up. I'm like, why didn't I know about this? And in those last 5 years, let's say, I have met so many people who are on the same mission that I am on, to change the narrative of divorce, so that people can, they can get through it. Am I going to make it a smooth sailing? No. Is it going to be emotional? Absolutely. But I can help with bring down cost, hopefully like less conflict. And when there's attorneys on board who feel the same, it's a game changer.
But back in 2010, before you heard about divorce coaching, when you were Googling
Yeah.
how to save my marriage,
Hmm.
when did you change that search from how to save my marriage to who's a who do I call to get a divorce? Like what?
Oh, that's when you start asking people that you know they're divorced. I interviewed like three attorneys. I mean that it was literally probably almost 2 years to the day where well, my husband had also he had moved out and I'd come back in. It was a, pardon my French, it was a shit show. Looking back and going, wow, I put up with a lot of bullshit that I didn't need to. But when you're so broken, you're grasping at anything that will
You're
that will
just
keep
flailing
keep you
around,
afloat. Exactly.
right?
All while trying to put on the facade that my life is still perfect, you know.
Right. And
Trying
plus, you
to
have kids, right? I
Yeah, so
mean,
you're
you have the kids.
trying to keep the secrets, trying to keep everything all kosher, and meanwhile, you find out later that, everyone knew I was fooling no one, and even the children knew that things were going wrong. But that's how in the dark you are. Like that's just how foggy it is.
How old were your kids at the time?
I think my oldest was 22 maybe, 22, 21, 18. My youngest was 15. And it and I can't say it hit anyone the harder, but probably her just because she was still pretty young. She was just starting high school, when her dad moved out. So those things they affect you. It's interesting because a lot of times people think, "Oh my gosh, it's better to wait till the kids are out of school." And but I don't know if they're young and it's a wreck. Then just honestly, if it's going to end in 10 years, just pull the bandage off because it hits the kids that are even uh, college students. You know, mom and dad break up. They go to school and then they come home and they don't know whose house they're supposed to go to. They don't know they got their friends. Now they got mom and dad's house to go to. And I actually have my own podcast and I was talking to a woman who like parenting coach and that's what they're saying is that just because the kids are even if they're married and moved out of the house with children of their own, it still hits everyone. My ex had said at one time, "This is only this divorce. This is just between you and me. It doesn't involve the kids." I'm like, "Are you high? Like, what do you? That is not true. This affects everyone, from your children to your family to the neighbors to your best friends. It hits everyone. So there's so much more support that people need than simply get a good attorney.
Yeah, and that's my,
Way
my,
more.
my next question. Like, when you were Googling and you decided, okay, well, I can't save my marriage, you mentioned attorney. Like, was there mediation or did you come across any other avenues besides going straight to the attorney after you gave it up? Or no, you just said, get me an
No,
attorney.
I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. I've talked to people and everyone, same thing. Oh, well, I have this attorney. And oh, we knew an attorney from the restaurant we owned, spoke to him. And there was really, in my mind, no other way. There was just simply no other way, and no one told me otherwise. Well, I shouldn't say that. My ex-husband wanted to Google a divorce contract and download it and like do it ourselves.
Because
And
he's
I'm
an
like,
engineer.
yeah. And I'm like, you want to just divorce out of a Cracker Jack box? Yeah, I don't think so. But not because, again, it was a high net worth divorce. I'm like, well, I need somebody in my corner. So, but now I know that there are CDFAs, which are certified divorce financial advisors. And I have since learned through my coaching my clients that you really don't want to speak to a regular financial advisor. You really do want someone with divorce knowledge in the financial industry because they help you break down everything you need once a divorce is final. So here's the thing with women over 40, over 50. One of my clients is over 70, married 43 years. She's lucky because she was in charge of investments and she was in charge of all the money. Most women aren't. Most women that are 50, 60, 70 years old, their husbands maybe had that, likely were the breadwinners. Some don't have credit cards in their own names. Some aren't sure if their name is even on the house. Some have truly no idea how much it costs to run a household because they've been given an allowance their 30 years of marriage, and they get the groceries or they do the kids. So they truly have no idea. And I always tell them it's no fault of your own, no judgment passed. But now we need to really figure out, you need to open up a credit card. You need a line of credit. You need it in your name. You need to understand how much money you spend each month on expenses, fixed expenses, luxury expenses. I mean, and it's a process. But that too, extremely overwhelming when you know what's coming next. So when you talk to all the right people, and we call it hiring your team, and it scares people because they think, oh my God, how much is this going to cost me? Well, in fact, you do the research, and it actually will cost you less money when you do it with the people who are professionals in their lane. An attorney is not a financial advisor. An attorney shouldn't be helping you figure out your finances. That's not their lane. They're the legal side of it. And I've talked to attorneys who agree that they're trying to untrain their brain because attorneys are trained to litigate. That's what they do. But financial advisors, CDFAs specifically, they know exactly what needs to be looked at. And again, it's all about educating people and just changing the narrative on how people approach divorce. It's not a pleasant journey. It's not. But if you have the right team in your corner, everybody can help. And I wish so badly I would have had that support of a coach. I did have a financial advisor, but I'm not even sure CDFAs were around 10 or 15 years ago. So it's just, things are changing, and I feel like I'm on a new journey with what do they call it, the flagship of changing the way people view divorce and how they approach it. And I think you said earlier how it was, people don't want to talk about it. Well, no, because people are feeling ashamed of it. Whether you've been married 2 years, 10 years, 25 years. And also, okay, I don't think I mentioned this, gray divorce is the highest rate of divorce right now in the country, and Canada as well.
Huh.
Yeah.
So now let's just say somebody else is where you were in 2010, and they're thinking about how to save my marriage, and they haven't really decided if they're going to get a divorce or not. Is that a time when they would want to get a divorce coach at that time, like really early on? Like, how do you know when you need a divorce coach?
When you're contemplating divorce. A woman on average contemplates divorce for 2 years before she makes a decision. And interestingly enough, one of my clients, actually we just wrapped up our sessions, but I likely will see her again probably the end of the summer. She was on her way, like divorce was on her mind, and she was trying to figure out how to do it, and she was very confused and very overwhelmed at finding documents, and she just was trying to figure so much out. Fast forward to, I don't know, maybe 4 sessions in, halfway through, I helped her discover that she needed a passion in her life. She needed purpose in her life. She was missing. She felt very trapped, very she just felt trapped. Like there was no space for her in her house. And she went on a retreat, and I said to her, this retreat is going to be life-changing for you. I said, I think this is the time when you will figure out what you want to do next. Whether you stay married or not, you get to choose a path for yourself for the next, her children are grown. It's just her and her husband, and she's not happy. And sure enough, she's figured out a way to make their life work right now. And is she going to get divorced? Likely. likely. But the most important part was she found her peace and her happiness. And I hadn't talked to her in a couple months. When I saw her, she looked like a whole different woman. I don't know, I think her hair color lightened, but there was just something about her that glowed. And I looked at her and I went, oh my gosh, you look amazing. And she's like, oh my God, thank you. And I'm like, no, seriously, like you are lit up. And it's because she'd found her inner happiness. And that's happened so often with people. I mainly work with women that they're going, what's next? Like, is this all there is? Like, what the heck? So, yes, when you're trying to figure out divorce or not divorce, absolutely. I'm a life reinvention coach as well. I want to help them. And is she aware of what she needs to do if she does move ahead with divorce? Absolutely. But when we jump on calls, she's like, oh, I was so excited to talk to you. I'm so excited to talk to you. I so appreciate everything you've done for me. And it was just sometimes you need someone to give you that confidence, that someone to give you that new way of looking at life. So I wrote in my book, you're allowed to change. When you're married and you're not happy, maybe you have to work on yourself to make you happy. Don't rely on someone else to make you happy. But I also say be careful, because once you make that change and become this new person that you are in love with, your partner may not like this new version of you.
Right. So if someone is early in their, thought process about whether or not they should get a divorce, and then they contact you before they've decided, like,
Mm-hmm.
how will you help them decide whether they should get divorced or should stick it out?
I actually don't help them decide. They eventually figure it out for themselves, and they truly do. When I spoke to this client, I looked at her and I said, so are you still heading towards divorce? And she looked at me and I knew the answer right away on her face. It was yes. But she just wasn't sure when. She just needed to settle in the life that she'd found for herself. She had to just let it all, because she had things that were going on. She was actually considering starting a business on the side and trying to figure things out. And so it's not that I go, oh, yeah, you should probably still get a divorce. It's more, do you still want to get a divorce? And I actually have another client, the same thing. And yes, they do. I think the writing is already on the wall. But that first step is scary. Like to just go, yeah, I'm done. I'm going to hire a lawyer. Get rid of this. I always say it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You've been married all these years. You're not going to make that decision. It shouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction. So I hope that answers your question. I mean, I don't, if they're still not happy, I want to also say this. Sometimes you need both a coach and a therapist. Therapist deals with your past. Sometimes a person is just still struggling with their past. That's not my lane. Sometimes you need both a therapist and a coach, because a coach I deal with right now. Here you are, and each person's coaching is different because I have to figure out where they're at, what their needs are, what they're looking for. But we move from today forward. The therapist, I'm not qualified. That's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm not supposed to help you figure out your childhood. That's just not what I do. So that's also a part of it. Sometimes I've had clients where she worked with me for I don't know, 4 or 5 sessions, and every time she just she couldn't get unstuck. To me, that's where she needs a therapist. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say that, sounds like you need a divorce coach, attorney, therapist, CDFA, right? There's maybe a lot of people that you need to talk to. Um,
Absolutely.
so what's the first like questions that you ask somebody, like a new client who, is like in the early stages and not quite sure, like what do you ask them to help them gain clarity in terms of what they should do?
Well, I mean, I'd want to know. how long have they been married? Do they have children? Um, is there, often I want to know, is there, maybe there's violence? Is your spouse narcissistic? Like that's a whole other realm of coaching. There are coaches that help people through narcissistic relationships. Um, I want to find out about, I don't need to dive into how much they're worth or finances, but I do want to know, do you understand your finances? Do you own your home? Do you, like, there's all kinds of like very basic questions, really. But, how long is there? Why do you want a divorce? Again, is there violence? Maybe it's infidelity. Maybe she's the breadwinner and he's not doing anything to pull his weight. I've also coached a woman through that. Um, again, you really have to I generally let them speak that very first initial conversation. I want to let them pour out their soul. And that's generally what happens, is they just pour everything out. Sometimes there's tears, they apologize. I'm like, that's what we're here for. That's what this space is for. Again, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that when you're talking to your attorney, because that's a $600 therapy session, So that's generally what happens. I get the basics down. Do they have a job? When was the last time they worked? Will they need to work? I mean, the conversation kind of like this conversation. It's very organic, but most of the time they just pour their heart out, and then it just I got to gather all my information from that, that first consultation.
So you mentioned like violence and infidelity, and what are some of the other reasons why people should definitely get divorced, like drug addiction,
Oh,
alcoholism,
yeah, yeah.
gambling, porn addiction? Like what do you come across as like some of the big drivers
Those
for
are
making?
those are definitely big drivers. I've not coached anyone that had the porn or gambling addiction, but alcohol abuse, for sure, for sure. But also, that would be when you might need a therapist as well. There are some divorce coaches uh, who maybe have a therapy background as well. Um, I did talk to one client, and she's like, "Well, I already have a." I mean, she seemed pretty level headed, and she's like, "Well, I already have a therapist, so, you know, why do I need a divorce coach?" And I specifically said, "Well, number one, most divorce coaches have been divorced. Therapists haven't necessarily been divorced. I want somebody who's been through it. I want somebody who's walked the walk and knows that feeling and knows." And specifically, I want to coach women over 40 because, again, I lived it. I wasn't married 5 years, and I didn't have a 2-year-old, and I didn't have it, I wasn't working outside the home. My life was my marriage, my family, my home, my children. So I wanted someone, I would have wanted something, if that was me today, I would like, well, I want somebody who understands how I'm feeling. I don't want somebody who's just read a book about it, because I just don't believe, like, one thing I say all the time is nobody aspires to be a divorce coach. When you're in high school and you're taking that test about what you want to be when you grow up, there's no, oh, divorce coach, you'd be perfect for that. No, this is this is a life lived uh, spot you're in. I always say divorce is a club you never wanted to belong to, but here you are. And I really feel that um, I discovered this passion for a reason. And I feel like, okay, maybe I went through this divorce because now um, I can give of my time to help other people through it.
Right. Yeah. I
I
can
hope that I
definitely.
hope that answered I hope that answered your question. I kind of went off in another
Well,
direction.
I think it does kind of answer my question. But I was also going to ask, like you said that you're not an attorney and, or obviously not an attorney or a CDFA, a certified divorce financial advisor, and you're not a therapist. So what exactly do you do? I mean, like, like you
So
give coaching,
that's
I mean, I know
that's a great
basketball
question.
coaching, baseball coaching,
Yep,
like what does a divorce
yep,
coach actually
yep.
do?
So one of the things that Actually, I'm going to do a cheat sheet because I tried to have myself a little somewhat prepared for this. So here's a good way to wrap it up. Like this, what I do: clarity and chaos. I help you cut through the overwhelm of it all and make confident decisions about the future. Often, I can't get into specifics, but there'll be a situation that a woman is dealing with, and I will give her a different narrative. I will give her a different way of looking at it. And so many times they've said, "Oh, I never thought about it that way." Again, just bringing clarity to a situation can be immense. Emotional strength and support. I'm a trusted partner. Often they say that, specifically from a woman's point of view, the man you're divorcing is not the man you married. And often I will try to help them see more clearly as to where they're coming from. They're trying to trust them, and I don't want them to not trust them. But when you're going through a divorce, you have to see things clearly. You might have to, what does they say, see the forest through the trees. Again, bringing that clarity to the chaos that they're in. And then there's a clear path to, reinvention. This client I helped just, maybe she didn't get divorced first and then try to find where her life is going. We just we just maybe did it backwards, somebody might say, but I helped them see that life does go on, and I'm living proof of it. Because for women, one of their biggest fears is being alone. And what do I do next? What am I going to do with myself? How can I live on my own? And so through coaching and conversations and helping them say, what is your passion? What do you like to do? What did you like to do? Who were you before you were mom and wife and, household engineer? Let's reinvent ourselves, or let's just maybe bring back a part of you that kind of got lost in the shuffle. So it's not just about getting organized for divorce. It's like changing their frame of mind, because I'm going to tell you clearly that it's terrifying when you've been married for so many years and now you may have to sell your house. That's another thing that is a big decision in women's lives. Do I keep the house? Don't I? I personally encourage them to just get rid of the house. Go somewhere else. Create new memories. And I have talked to their clients that they want to keep the house. They want to keep the house. And I'm like, I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't. But I'm here to say, okay, well, how are we going to change your house? How are we going to change those four walls so you're not sitting in those memories? Like, it's a tough puddle to be in. And there's been a few of them who, within a year, have gotten rid of the house anyway. They're like, yeah, that wasn't a really good idea. I'm like, no. One of my clients, her husband says, I'm going to leave you with the house because it's worth more. Well, it's only worth more if you sell it. It's not worth more if you're still living in it, paying the bills. That was another thing that I said to her. She was at a point where her husband they had come to an agreement, but she wasn't happy with it. Hadn't gone to the judge yet. And I'm like, it's not too late. Like, you need to make sure you are happy and confident with this final decree. She had to speak with her husband, and I have to speak with her again. She said it went well, but that's where you find clarity in the chaos. Because again, they'll sit and they'll talk to me and they'll go, oh my goodness, I didn't think about that. Oh, I forgot to do that. Nothing happens, nothing positive happens if you've signed something and you're not happy with it. Because once it's signed and the judge puts his stamp on it, it's over. And if you wish to change it, more money.
Right. Well, one thing you said was that, like, hey, the person you're divorcing isn't the person that you married, but I wonder really if it is exactly the person that they married, right? Because maybe they just didn't realize that. Because one thing I've heard that really stuck with me years ago was that women marry men thinking that the men will change, and men marry women thinking they will never change, right? I think
Oh,
that.
yeah, I've not heard that part, but that's very true. That's very true.
Right.
That's
And,
very true.
people just grow apart, or one doesn't grow and the other one does grow. And there you go. So what part of
Yes.
your coaching, how much of your coaching is like practical, like day-to-day mechanics of like divorce, and how much of it is really mindset?
Oh, it's hard to say. Everybody's different. It might be 50-50. I just thought I had a thought that I wanted to share with your listeners. So I have a local attorney that I've um, become we worked well together. And I recommended one of my clients interview him, and she ended up working with him. And I think one of the best reviews I could get from an attorney was when we talked again, he said it was really noticeable working with her because she and I had had a few sessions together. She was broken up. Her husband wanted the divorce, she didn't. So she's very up. It was hurtful. He did say, though, said you could tell that the emotional part of it had been not completely removed, but she was all business when she worked with him because that emotional side had been addressed. She and I had spoken about a few things. She was able to feel more calm, secure in her decisions. To me, that speaks volumes for working with a coach. When the attorney says, wow, yeah, I really noticed how emotionally regulated, I can't remember his words that he used, but yeah, because the emotion had been removed from it. That she was just business. This is what I want. This is that. That's what you want to do with your attorney. You don't want any extra frill because it'll rake up really quick to thousands of dollars extra.
Yeah. She had the clarity that she needed from you to take the path that she needed to take.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
speaking of paths you need to take, like when did you decide that you were going to make a career out of becoming a divorce and life coach? And what precipitated that?
2020 precipitated that. I had been divorced for about 5 years. I had actually remarried the year before, which is something I said I would never do, but I did, surprisingly, and quite happily. But so in 2020, when we all know the world shut down or went crazy, um, I got a couple weeks into it. I got tired of, I always say, banana bread making and Netflix binging, and I'm like, I gotta do something. So I started taking online courses, and it's kind of a long path, but it all started with a free Yale University course called The Science of Wellbeing, and from there I was directed to Dr. Michael Beckwith, which led me to Mind Valley. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mind Valley.
I have heard of Mind Valley.
And it truly just snowballed from there. I took a certification in life coaching, and once I was completed on that certification, they tell you to get your own life coach because you need to know the process. And I'm like, okay, cool, I can do that. Um, my life coach led me down the path of writing a book. She challenged me to write a book that I had said was one of my bucket list things, and it truly just kept going from there. I'm very much healthy, trying to be healthy as especially in my 50s, and I certified as a health coach. And then in 2021, I was approached by another divorce coach on LinkedIn, and I don't even know how that connection was made, but that's when I was just like, what, divorce coaches? This is a thing. Why didn't I know about it? And um, I've been educating myself literally the last 5 or 6 years on all of it. And that's when I really was, as a coach, you're supposed to find your niche and you do all of that. And I realized that women over 40 going through divorce is who I need to coach because that was me. And if anyone would have told me 5, 6 years ago that I would be on podcasts, hosting a podcast, posting on TikTok, doing video interviews, I would, well, that's not me. I took one of my Mind Valley quests was a speaking quest, speaking, and I can't think of the name of the woman who ran it. She was wonderful. It took me, I swear, 30 takes to make to post a 30 or 15-second video of myself to post to a group that was just, we were all the same way. I was so self-conscious. So I, one of the things that I tell my clients is you have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Step out of that box you're in. There is a beautiful world waiting for you. Again, I would say I feared the future. Now it excites me. I just never know what's around the corner.
Yeah, you absolutely have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's the only place that growth comes from. And if you're not growing,
Yep.
you're dying, basically. So
Right.
tell me about your book. What's your book about?
My book is called Shattered Dreams and New Beginnings, a journey of pain, healing, and growth. And it truly is just my story from, when young girl, how I grew up in a small town in Tecumseh, Ontario, Canada, and, meeting my husband and moving to the States. Those were all huge, terrifying moves for me, moving from Windsor to Michigan. And then my husband said, well, let's move to California, or let's move to another state, I think he said. I'm like, why not? I didn't like it where I was. So I'm like, why not? Let's try something else. And that was another time of growth for me as well. But it truly is just the journey of a young girl in a small town, all the things I went through, but ultimately how I got through to the other side. And I wrote it to inspire others that, yeah, it's terrifying. Life was not, definitely did not unfold how I expected it to. Um, but it's a pretty darn good life. So I'm very happy. And I wouldn't have become the woman I am sitting right here talking to you, Sebastian, that I would have still been someone following someone else's dream.
And so that book is available everywhere that fine books are sold, or how do you get a copy of that book?
Let me hold on a second. I want to show it to you. Here we go. Shattered Dreams and New Beginnings. It's probably, sorry, it's backwards, but you can find it on Amazon. But if you order it from the author, I will sign it and mail it off to you personally.
Okay, that sounds good. And so,
Yeah.
how would you get it from you directly? Like, how do people get a hold of you to ask for the book, or talk about coaching, or just to chat?
Yeah. Best way to do it is on my website, which is livelifenowwithpurpose.com. My business name is Live Life Now, but my website, everything is there. My resources. I've created a journal for people to use as they're starting their journey of divorce, because journaling is really therapeutic, but I always find blank pages to be very daunting. So I created this journal to give them prompts for their thoughts and tasks to do, and you know things that they can do to uh, maybe change their mindset. You know, I have self-care guides, and it's all on my resources on my website. It's called Undershop with Me.
All right. So it sounds like life is going good for you after 60, and
Yeah.
you're not you're not looking at winding down. You're sort of just getting
Oh,
going.
I am just revving up, and I do want to share a quote with all of you. And I have to be better at knowing who the quote was from, but I don't. But the quote comes from a doctor who works with women coming into their own past 40. And the quote is, life really does begin at 40, because until then you're just doing research. And when I heard that quote about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, my life made sense. I didn't understand why after 50 I was just like, couldn't get enough learning. I couldn't get enough. I want to know more. I'm teaching myself so much. And it's like, yeah, because I was just kind of waiting to come into my own.
Amen to that. And I
Hmm.
really feel the same way. I mean, I don't know about when exactly I stopped doing research. I kind of feel like I'm still doing
Oh,
a lot of research myself, but
yeah.
I really am looking forward to a very happy and, like fulfilling, last third of my life, basically. And I hope that a lot
Right.
of my viewers are too.
Yeah.
So, Nanette, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today.
Yeah.
But
Thank
I
you.
did want to thank you so very much for joining me today on 60 Plus Uncensored. And so, tell me again your website address where people can go to reach out to you.
Yes, it is livelifenowwithpurpose.com, and everything you need to know and how to get in touch with me is all right there.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank
that is a
you.
wrap. That's a wrap for this episode of 60 Plus Uncensored. I want to give a huge thanks to Nanette Murphy for
Thank you.
setting the tone with such honesty and insight. And if you liked this episode, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share it with someone you know who needs to hear it. And I think that a lot of you out there do know somebody who probably needs to hear this. And if you know someone who's over 60 and still doing big things like Nanette, living boldly and working with purpose, aging on her own terms, I would love to hear from you. So reach out to me at team60plus.com or join the conversation on Reddit at 60 Plus Uncensored. I'm Seb Fry, and this is 60 Plus Uncensored, because as we're learning, life after 60 isn't the end, it's just getting good.
Subscribe now.